If habits were really about discipline, brushing your teeth would feel like a daily battle, but it doesn't. You don't wake up and negotiate with yourself. You don't need motivation. You just do it. Which is strange, because for other habits, like working out, reading, or waking up early, it suddenly feels like you need superhuman consistency. So what's the difference? Why do some behaviors become automatic, while others never seem to stick? Most advice will tell you it's about repetition. Just do it for 21 days. Stay consistent. Don't break the chain. But that explanation is incomplete, because repetition alone doesn't create habits. Otherwise, everyone who tried going to the gym for a month would still be going. What actually matters is something much less obvious. It's the relationship between the behavior and the situation around it. Let me show you what I mean. Think about the last time you opened Instagram, YouTube, or email without really thinking about it. You probably didn't sit there and decide, yes, now is the optimal time to check this. It just happened. Usually there was a trigger. Maybe your work got slightly difficult. Maybe you felt a bit bored. Maybe your phone lit up. And before you even noticed it, your brain had already chosen the easiest available action. That's the key. Habits are not really built on intention. They're built on what your brain learns is the easiest response in a specific context. Over time, your brain starts to link situations with actions, not because they're good, not because they're logical, but because they're available and require the least effort. This is why two people can have the exact same goal and completely different outcomes. One person says, "I want to read more," but their book is somewhere on a shelf. Their phone is in their hand. Guess which behavior wins? The other person leaves a book on their pillow. Now the environment is doing part of the work. And this might sound like a small detail, but it's often the difference between something sticking and something fading away. Here's where most habit advice goes wrong. It assumes you're making decisions in a calm, rational state. But most habits don't happen in that state. They happen when you're tired, distracted, slightly bored. And in those moments, your brain defaults to whatever is easiest. Not what you planned earlier. That's why relying on discipline feels so unreliable. Because you're trying to override a system that's designed to conserve effort. And you can win that battle occasionally. But it's hard to win it consistently. A more useful way to think about habits is this. Every behavior has a certain level of friction. Some actions are smooth and immediate. Others require effort, steps, or inconvenience. And your brain is constantly leaning toward the smoother option. So instead of asking, how do I force myself to do this? A better question is, how do I make this the easiest option available? Because when a behavior becomes the default, it stops feeling like discipline. It just feels normal. And this also explains something interesting. Bad habits don't feel hard. They feel natural because they've been optimized for ease. Good habits often feel hard, not because they're inherently difficult, but because they haven't been optimized yet. So here's a simple way to experiment with this. Don't try to change your habits directly. Change the conditions around them. Pick one behavior, just one. Then do two small things. First, make the bad version slightly more annoying. Not impossible, just inconvenient. Add a step, move it out of reach, create a tiny delay. Second, make the good version easier than it currently is. Prepare it in advance. Reduce the number of steps. Make it visible. The goal is not to rely on motivation. It's to shift the balance so that one option feels smoother than the other. Because when that happens consistently, your brain starts to adapt. And that's when habits begin to form. Almost quietly in the background. Not through force, but through repeated ease. If you start noticing this in your own life, you'll see it everywhere. If you want to put these ideas into practice, we've left a few useful resources in the description. And if you enjoy short psychology breakdowns like this, consider subscribing. But for now, try changing one small thing around a habit, not the habit itself, just the setup. That's usually where the real change starts.